Namaskar, hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Tanvi Khurana and you're watching us right now on PM eVidya channel number 6 to channel number 12. Well, let me tell you that this is an online training and today is the first day of this online training. It's a 5-day training today. You know, it's 22nd of August. Let me tell you, this online training is about multimedia resources for teaching, learning and assessment. Well, as you all know that every month, in the last week of every month, we conduct this online training and that is on the areas related to educational technology and ICT in education. We have one of the resource persons in our studio and she is Dr. Angel Ratnabai. She is an assistant professor from CIT and CRT and I'll request her to give us all the details regarding this online training and then we'll proceed further. Ma'am.
Thank you. Welcome to this online training series, and for this month we have taken the theme on multimedia resources for teaching, learning and assessment. So we welcome you to this online training for the month of August, and this particular training is going to be for 5 days. As usual, there will be a registration process and also you have to watch all the sessions for 5 days and then you need to participate in quiz. So where do you get all this information? Every month we are saying there are many people who have registered but couldn't really participate in quiz. So I just want to show you the web page where you can get all the details of this program. So how do you access the web page of this particular training? So you can see here, you can open a web, any browser. There you can simply type it as CIET. When you type CIET, you will be getting our website page. The very first page you will be getting there. On this particular tab, you can see here there are a lot of menus on the bar. So here please click on events. When you click on events, you will be getting workshops/training. So that is where you will be getting all the details of the training program which is happening. So every month there is a training program. So you can see here the resource, the activities which is happening currently will be displayed here. So now this month training is at the top. So you can click on multimedia resources for teaching, learning, assessment, which is happening from 22nd to 26th. So once you click here, you will be able to see the complete details of this program. So as you can see here, this is going to be a 5 days training program which is going to cover what is the concept of multimedia, how it is required, how it can be useful for education, how do you really curate the content, what types of multimedia are there. We are also going to give you a lot of exemplars of each type. And you also can understand what is the process of developing a multimedia resource, and not only just the process but how to really develop content, multimedia resources using free and open source tool. So this is going to be the coverage of this 5 days training program. So when you scroll this page down, you will see the details. So you can see here the everyday video link will be upcoming, being uploaded at the end of the session. So even if you miss, you can click on the link and watch the video, or you can also just scroll it down. The detailed step-by-step process is here. You can access this link and register yourself, or if you're right now having a mobile in your hand, you can scan this QR code and access the registration form. Once you register, you should watch all the 5 day session. So sometimes you may be available online to watch, but sometimes if you miss the live session, again you can also, we will be uploading a playlist here by end of this first day session itself. So if you click on the playlist, you will be able to access all the 5 days videos here. So watch all the 5 days session and then participate in the post activity of this particular training program. So the link for the quiz will be updated on this particular page. So don't search for the quiz link in your mail, but the quiz link will be only updated in this page. It will not be sent to your mail. So you need to please click here to see the quiz link. Click on the quiz link and attempt. The quiz link will be updated here only at the end of the 5th day session. So you can click here and then access the quiz, participate in the quiz, score above 70% and then you will receive a certificate. Many times we have queries that you have not received the certificate. Since it's a bulk certification, kindly check your mail in the spam. So all the details regarding this program is available in the web page. So please refer to this page for getting all the links which is required for this program. So we will look forward for your participation in this program in a very meaningful way, and we hope that this 5 days training will enrich you in learning about multimedia resource in education.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enlightening our viewers about this 5-day online training on multimedia resources for teaching, learning, and assessment. So now you have access to our webpage, that is cit.nic.in, and you have all the information regarding this 5-day online training. So we really hope that you will be watching all these sessions that are going to happen. Today is the first day, and the timings are 4 to 5 every day. So let me tell you the topic of day 1, and that is multimedia resources for education, concept, need, and scope. And we have 3 resource persons in this entire program, and they'll be discussing all the details regarding this topic. If you have any questions, any queries, please reach out to us, call us on our number, that is 8800440559. You're watching us at this moment on our YouTube channel, which is NCERT Official. In the live chat box, you can write down your questions, queries, and share them with us. We are here till 5 o'clock, and our experts, they'll be more than happy to answer all your queries towards the end of the program. So please share your questions, share as many questions as you want. We have got a lot of time. And there's one email ID through which you can also share your questions, and that is training.helpdesk@cit.nic.in. So we'll be looking forward to your questions. And now let me introduce you to our resource persons for this program. We have with us in our studio, and she is Professor Indu Kumar. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Tanvi. Thank you very much.
Ma'am is from Department of ICT and National Coordinator for Diksha, which is One Nation, One Digital platform for school and teacher education from CIET, that is Central Institute of Educational Technology, NCERT, New Delhi. And we have with us Dr. Sameer Sehasrabudhe. A very warm welcome to you, sir. Sir, could you unmute yourself, please? Let me give a brief introduction.
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us, sir. Let me introduce sir to all of you. Sir is a professor of practice in design from IIT Gandhinagar, Gujarat. And that's not all. He has a cumulative experience of over 25 years in various fields such as advertising, animation, filmmaking, and educational multimedia production. So once more, I welcome our special guest, Dr. Sameer Sehasrabudhe. And you already know Dr. Angel Ratnabai. She is going to be the moderator of this entire program. Once again, I welcome all 3 guests in this program, and they are going to take forward this entire discussion on the topic multimedia resources for education, concept, need, and scope. So let me request Dr. Angel to take it forward from here, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Tanvi. As we are all aware nowadays, technology is inevitable in the process of learning, and also the digital resources is playing a very important role when they wanted to use technology in the classroom, right? And not just audio and video resources, because audio video resources have been all the time digital resource that's being used in the school education. But in recent days, multimedia resources have also become an important resource because several researchers have proved that multimedia resources can reach better, can make people to visualize better, can even make learning process better. So having this understanding, let's listen to Professor Indu Kumar on what does National Educational Policy 2020 recommends about the use of multimedia resources.
Thank you, Dr. Angel. It's a very important question. First of all, for any educational concern, we need to refer to the NEP 2020, which is already there, and all effort in the area of school and teacher education and also in higher education are taking place within the context of NEP 2020. When it comes to digital content creation, multimedia content is a part of which the recommendation of NEP 2020 are very important for us to know. So, in chapter 24 of NEP 2020 under section 24.4 has a mention of digital content creation in the context of NEP 2020. So it talks about content creation, digital repositories, and the dissemination of content through digital repositories. And it has already been mentioned that Diksha is One Nation, One Digital Platform initiative, where we are disseminating all the different kinds of digital content for the purpose of school education and teacher education. So it talks about, this section talks about the content creation for the purpose of developing courseworks, learning games, simulations, augmented reality and virtual reality, and also with having a provision of proper rating by the users. So all these use cases, development of digital content for coursework has a dimension of multimedia. Whatever resources we are using for the purpose of the course dissemination, it has the element of multimedia, because every content which we have, like we have video, we have simulations, virtual reality content, quizzes, have element of multimedia. Maybe later part of this presentation you will also be listening to the very concept of multimedia content. What do we understand by multimedia? Combining different kind of medias together creates a multimedia content. So NEP 2020 talks about all such different kinds of multimedia content creation and their curation on digital repositories for a larger dissemination. So it also talks about development of apps and gamification of Indian art and culture in multiple languages, because in a country like India, which is a pluralistic country which has multifarious diversity, content creation in multiple languages is very, very important, and it applies to the creation of multimedia content also. So that is what which is mentioned in the NEP 2020 as far as development of multimedia content is concerned. It also talks about creation of virtual labs and the kind of content which has been created for virtual labs also have the elements of multimedia, so that virtually experiments can be created using the virtual laboratories which are there, using simulations and other such content. So Dr. Angel, that is what which is I explained briefly, which is mentioned in NEP 2020 about content creation and also its curation on repositories.
Yeah, it's very, very clear that national education policy speaks about use of different digital content and very specifically on multiple types of resources that can engage the learner and also encourage the learning process to happen effectively. So thank you so much for bringing out that very important aspect of the recommendations given in the national educational policy. Many times this word multimedia is not clearly understood by everyone, because what we see is everyone has a different understanding of multimedia as by the word itself. So I would request Dr. Sami to just brief and explain us what really multimedia resources means, and so that let us all have a common understanding before we get into this 5 days training. Yes, Dr. Singh.
Yes, yes. So that's very crucial because lot of times people have a fragmented idea about what is multimedia, and many a times it is also limiting sentence sometimes. So just to be sure about what all we talk when we say the word multimedia, I think let's just have a look at what all encompasses that, right? So to start with, it is actually, I have tried to order it as it evolved. So, so to say, the first way of communication, like when it started, could be gestures or something, but when the language came up, so audio was one of the first media which was used for communication. It could be sounds at that time, but yes, language and audio becomes the first media. Then we have text when we started printing. So books and other things become another media. Now there are books with some graphics in it, like illustrations and drawings. So yes, so drawing, illustrations and other graphics, flow charts, everything comes under this kind of list. So and this form the third one in the media. And when we require these particular graphics, because these are static, these are printed in books or they are printed on a poster or what you draw on a board, all these are actually static graphics. When we have a requirement of giving motion to these graphics, then what we get into is called as, or maybe, yeah, one more important thing was invention of photography. And this is not an artistic representation of the concept, but this is a factual documentation of the thing. So once we say that, okay, flag was hoisted on a particular day at a particular place, we have a photograph of that. This is not an artistic representation, but this is factual document of that. So then that would be photograph. The photographs in motion or videos are the next step, which will document the same things in a motion format. So videos is another media. And then if we go one step further, we will have the graphics or the illustrations in motion, which we call as animation. So these are not photographed, but these are drawn or created digitally, and then a motion is given to that. Animation, actually the moment the media started really flourishing after this point, when the videos, after the videos and to the animation, and with the advent of digital technologies and computers, we added something called as simulation, which is interactive graphics. So we can actually control the graphics by changing the parameters of various elements within the system, within the graphics. So this became another media to control. And as we just heard Professor Indu talk about, the latest thing converts into augmented reality and virtual reality. That is kind of bringing in the entire experience at the user's place. So sitting here, I can actually click on a button and feel a particular place which is not really in front of me, and actually get an experience of that. These are kind of immersive technologies, that is what it's called. So this is the next level of media. And as we talk now in the recent times, we have heard something called as mixed realities or metaverse, which is coming up, where multiple people can experience the same thing in their own personal spaces, but with the possibilities of their own customizations. And yeah, we have, we don't know where it is leading to, but yeah, the list is kind of increasing. So this is kind of an entire range what we talk about multimedia. And the word multimedia graphics, when we put in the context of education, we necessarily say that we are combining various medium for the effective communication of the concept that is to be represented in our educational domain. So this is how I think we can look at the range of this thing which actually makes it multimedia.
Thank you, Dr. Samir, for clearly explaining what is really multimedia means, because sometimes we just think that only two medias or combination of how many medias can be called as multimedia, but you have cleared it, and also you have listed as the types of different multimedia to us. I think we will be getting into a detailed understanding of all these multimedia in the coming days, and also we will be learning to find out how to curate it. Can you also explain how this use of multimedia in teaching, learning, assessment can really help education to become better?
Yes, so as I said in the last sentence before this, that use of media in all the research that I have read about and I have practiced, it is actually rooted to a very important point, which is that it has to be driven by the communication required by the concept. So based on the concept, media plays an important role. Now I will repeat this once again, so that we are very clear about it. All I am saying is that these mediums are not used as a mandatory thing. However, they are used appropriately for communicating the concept. And to explain that further, I am just going to take one by one. So for example, we have something only to be listened and we don't need any visual input for that. At that time, we actually can rely on a single media which is called as audio. For example, we are listening to music, we are listening to somebody's lecture, and we can actually, so the radio is a great example of information transmission or communication through only one media. So this is not multimedia at that time, but yes, this is one of the most prominent media where communication can happen only by listening. And therefore, audio is one of the ways to do that. But when we require reading of something, for example, we have math symbols or we have maybe some formulae where we have to explain that this particular thing along with the brackets around it and the symbol of pi is to be given, then we have to have text, because text will give you the chance to read and to see the symbols that are required. Now, the moment we go to one more step, like we have something which is not possible to be written in text, like we can write paragraph about something, maybe the layout of the city, or we have to talk about a distance between two cities or something. A map is a requirement. The moment we say map, this gets into the next step of medium called as graphics, where the imagery will allow you to get more information about it, which is not possible through audio or text or even combined together. We need a drawing of that particular place so that we can see that, and then we can add text to it to show the names of the parts or labels, label diagrams. Now this is where the multimedia will start flowing in, because now we cannot rely on just the map. We have to have a text supporting the communication that we wanted to do. The moment we go to next step here, where we want factual representation, and I will again quote for example here, let us say we have to explain litmus paper test to the students. Now we can have a drawing of that also. We can write a paragraph about it. We can also talk in the class where we'll say that, okay, this particular paper, when it is dipped into X solution, the color changes to Y. Now the problem is that it restricts the visualization of people. Therefore, we require a photograph which will tell the students that yes, this is exactly the color which has to be achieved in order to get that experiment done rightly. And therefore, photograph is the next level of communication where it is factual representation. Now when we go to the moving parts, now all these are static things, and the moment we go to the moving parts, we have videos. Videos are factual representation, obviously, because they are shot by camera and they are not created on a paper, but these are moving. Again, the same thing. When we want to say that if magnetic poles of similar sides actually come together, they repel. If you have to say that, no amount of text is going to explain that to you, the students. If we show a video that how repulsion happens or how attraction happens, then we can actually show that using a video, because video will tell us the actual action, because this is getting shot by the camera. But there are situations where camera is not sufficient to record these things. For example, we have to explain to the students about iron being extracted from the iron ore. Now this happens in a furnace where the temperature is some 100 degrees and we cannot insert any camera there. At that point, we can see that animation is a very useful tool, and we add one more layer of that. So the graphics are now edited and put up into a way that it is a product of explanation where we can actually see the iron ore separating. We can in fact add the text where we can show how FeSO4 gets converted to Fe, which is iron, and the other byproducts come out as a slurry. So these things are possible in animation because we can actually generate these graphs. So as you can see, we are adding multiple layers of mediums in order to make it more interesting for communicating the thought that was required there. Next comes the simulation, where the interactivity is added. Now this is where the entire digital support starts coming into the picture. Whenever we want to see what happens at 300 degrees versus what happens at 600 degrees, and so on and so forth, simulation helps you in actually controlling these things and showing you the video output and the audio output of what will happen. And this is the interesting, like what Indu madam was referring to, something like virtual labs will allow you to actually change the parameters and get the feedback for the learners. So this is where the next step happens. And finally, we can see things like augmented reality and virtual reality, where the imagery is actually brought into the user's environment in real time. So if I have to see maybe the scientific observatory of Jantar Mantar sitting in Ahmedabad as of now, I can actually do a virtual reality and go there. Virtual reality will have everything related to what I spoke earlier on. It will have the animation, it will have the simulation, it will have the video, it will have images, it will have audio, it will have natural light coming into place. So all these things will be put together when I get the experience of a virtual reality sitting at the place that I am. So with these examples, you can see how multimedia can be added with layers upon layers of various media in order to make the experience of the learners or the observers an enriching one.
Thank you, Dr. Samir, for giving the explanation with examples like how use of multimedia can really reach to students. And I think like Professor Indu also have few points to add with that about how multimedia can be very useful in the educational process.
Yeah, it is really beautifully explained by Samir ji. I just want to put it the other way round. So when we deal with any educational content, we deal with different nature of content when a teacher deals with content. And the variety of multimedia content, the selection of multimedia content depends upon the nature of content a teacher is dealing with. Like we have factual content. Mr. Samir already mentioned the example of map for factual information combined with some labeling and other things. So like that, for factual content, we need to select a different kind of multimedia content. Then we have conceptual content, where some content needs to be explained. So for that, we need to select different kind of multimedia content from the variety of content which is already listed in the slide shown by Mr. Samir. Then there are another variety of content which is procedural content, where processes are need to be shown. And here comes the role of simulations, augmented reality content and virtual reality content to showcase the procedures based on different concepts that we are dealing with. So wherever there is a need to a need for a 3D visualization of content, like Earth is spherical, internal organs of human body, internal systems like respiratory system and how heart works, all such concepts can be very well explained by the multimedia content, which comes under the category of augmented reality and virtual reality content. So we need to, a teacher need to analyze the content, what is the nature of content and what multimedia will be best suited to explain that particular piece of content. So that is how we can add quality to the lesson we are teaching to students, by analyzing the nature of content and selection of appropriate multimedia. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing up that very important concern. Like, it's not about the availability of multimedia, but the right selection of the multimedia resource according to the content is very, very important. Ma'am, also, can you also elaborate on what is the scope of developing this kind of multimedia content, multimedia different resources as an open educational resource? Because we have been listening about open educational resources, and even policy talks about free and open resources should be made available. So how do you think that creating such content can address what type of issues or challenges it may address?
Generally, whatever available is in the market is developed by ed tech companies. There is very less involvement of the real practitioners who are actually practicing education in the field. So we need to develop a team of content creators where the people from different spheres need to be involved. So it need to be a teamwork. Creation of multimedia content need to be a teamwork, and involving practicing teachers, teacher educators, pedagogue, graphic people is a must of having a rational, appropriate team for developing the multimedia content. Because these multimedia content not only need to be very fancy to look at, but the explanation of content need to be kept in forefront while developing these content. Apart from these, because we are catering to a larger population, where we deal with more than 26 million students which are there in our system, and they belong to different sections of the society. They don't have reach to very fancy, expensive multimedia content, and the players which are there in the market who are disseminating these fancy multimedia content. So the policy also mentions about creation of digital repository which store OER content, open educational resources, so that it gets to the reach of each and every individual who is at the grassroots level. And Diksha is one such platform where which is envisaged as a one nation, one platform. So it is a repository of different OER content which are disseminated through CC by NC and the licensing policy to cater to the needs of students which are out there. Apart from this, if we keep the content, release the content under OER licensing, they are accessible to larger population. Then they are customizable also. Maybe a group of the experts have created a content keeping in mind some concept which way they envisaged as they perceived it. But another teacher wants to customize that content as per his or her need and as per the need of students he or she is going to cater to, then these content need to be customizable also. So licensing should be such that it allows the users to customize the content as per the need. Apart from that, they are freely available. Everybody can access them, download them, customize them, and use them. And interoperability is also very, very important, because there are a variety of devices. We don't have a common infrastructure which is recommended, and it is not important also to recommend similar kind of infrastructure in every part of the country, because we have geographical diversity also. Sometimes the geographical location of an area is such where internet connectivity is not that sound. So for that, downloaded content can be used, which multimedia contents can be used. And interoperability is also very, very important, because the content should be operable on every kind of devices, and and to some extent on different portals also. So that should be the nuances of creating content, so that they are interoperable, customizable, and freely available and easily accessible to the users.
It's really very important, this point, because I still remember that a lot of content was developed and given in DVDs and times back, and now if we see those content is available with us, but it's not working because of the different devices we are using now.
Right.
So I really appreciate that point, that when we really create content as open educational resources, we have to have that concern in our mind that it is accessible. And also we see nowadays not everyone has their laptop to access this resource or the digital different devices, but most of them access with their mobile with a very less speed of internet network which they have. So I think like the size of the multimedia content also plays a very important role.
Right.
To make really the content accessible. So from your point, I could understand that there are certain parameters which has to be really kept in mind while developing. I think we are going to learn about this in detail in the coming days, about what are the different parameters we need to keep in mind while we are developing the content, or while even when we are curating this kind of multimedia content from various websites or portals. And I also can pick up one more very important point, which Professor Dr. Samir has explained very clearly, is about the various types of content that's there, because many of us get confused whether simulation is a multimedia content or not. So there is a question whether really teachers can, when ma'am was telling about that it should be customizable, because we are releasing it as OER, the immediate question most of the teachers ask is, can multimedia content be developed by teachers? Is it possible? Whether there is a possibility. So I think like there is going to be a session on how we can develop content, multimedia content, using simple, free and open source software which is available. But what is your take on this, ma'am? Like, can teachers develop their own content to at least some extent, which will be utilized?
I think nothing is impossible, and teachers are the best content creators. So with the help of a team, they can conceptualizing a particular content creation. Teachers are the first resource persons for that. They need to conceptualize, because they know how they are going to teach, what they are going to teach, and how they are going to explain. So they can create a concept for simulation also. Without the help of teacher, we cannot create simulations. But there are software and tools available where simple simulations and virtual reality contents can be created. Maybe you will be getting exposure to all those tools in the days to come. We are not revealing them here. You have to listen to other sessions for getting acquainted to those tools. And there are mobile-based applications using which you can create animations also, stop motion animations. And we have tried it also, and in a day's exposure, teacher could create beautiful animations which are concept-based animations. So yeah, they can create all kind of contents.
I think this
With
word,
little training.
I think this word is really going to encourage every teacher who is watching this program to be connected with us for the next 4 days, so that you keep connecting with us, not just to learn theoretically about the use of multimedia resources, but also to learn how to develop that for really meeting your own need. I think there is a lot of questions coming up in the comment box. So can we take up one or two questions? I'm just taking up one of the questions from the comment box to Sameer sir. You were showing about virtual reality and augmented reality as types of media which can be used as part of multimedia content. So can you just explain one example, like how this virtual reality content is really useful in education?
Yes. So as I said, the first part of my the talk that I was talking about. So the first part is very crucial here. The augmented reality or virtual reality, both terms actually have the word reality in common, and that is because it is creating a makeshift environment around you. So this is about creating the entire experience at the place where the user is. So it's not like, so you go to a museum to experience a museum, or you go to a science lab to create a scientific experiment, but augmented reality and virtual reality allow you to actually experience this thing sitting in your own places. So that is one of the primary things. Now, again, I will come back to that point, because like you said, we are going to talk about ways in which how teachers can create their own content. But I would like to still just underline the factor that teachers should definitely spend a lot of time on deciding what is to be converted to multimedia first, and then choose the appropriate medium. And for that, because we have maybe a couple of minutes here, I would just like to throw open a question here for the benefit of audience, and they can keep sending in the chat so that we know how much they have got into it. And the question is, what would be an appropriate medium to show a litmus paper test? Okay, so people who are watching this broadcast can start answering this question probably. I'll just exit for a second, and probably I'll have that graphic text here. Okay, so which media will you use to explain litmus paper test and why? So just type out your answer, because after you decide on this, the answers will be much more clearer. Again, coming back to the question that you asked me, is augmented reality required to show a litmus paper test, or to do a virtual reality thing? Probably no. But a museum or a visit to a particular historical site would be a good point for a virtual reality experience, because then I can get the experience of walking inside the fort with the big darwajas and the cannons around, and I can actually see everything with virtual reality gadget on my ears and the headphones giving me the audio feed of it. This would be an interesting thing to watch. But maybe litmus paper test could not satisfy requirement of a virtual reality experiment to be created for that. So these are the kind of examples that you should look at, and maybe by the time other questions pop up, the viewers who are live right now can try and answer this question which I have posed on the screen right now.
Sir, we have received multiple answers for your question. I would like to read out a few answers from a few of our viewers. Shabana Ali is saying virtual lab, and Amin Bhatt photographs. Then Meenal is saying video with demonstration.
Okay.
And then random stuffs, that's one of our viewers, is saying animation. So we've got a lot of responses. We can't read all of them, but
Yes.
5.6K people are watching at the moment, and they are very interested in answering your question. If you have any more questions to ask, please do so.
Thank you. Actually, what you read out is a very interesting range of answers, and that just shows how you can actually integrate multimedia in solving a particular idea, the communication problem that we had. But to clarify why I asked this question specifically for litmus test, and somebody said animation and someone said a video. I will tell you one key decision-making thumb rule that will help you in deciding your medium. And that is, if I have to show animation of litmus paper test, it would be a graphic drawing of a paper, a hand, a beaker, a liquid, and so on and so forth. Even if I create a 3D, which is very realistic, it will not be looking realistic because we know that it's animation. And whenever I show the color being changed to pink or blue or whatever, it will always be treated in our subconscious mind that this is computer graphics being shown. When we want to show something which is believable, that people have to believe this, then the best medium to show is video. Because then they will realize that there is no computer graphics, there are no special effects happening here, like in the movies, that the color can be changed to even purple or orange or whatever. It is exactly what is happening in reality. So when you show the litmus paper test with a video camera on, then the students will have more believable content. On the other side, like I gave you an example of an iron ore, probably camera won't be a good idea because camera can show from outside that the ore was poured inside the furnace and then suddenly you see the iron coming out of the furnace. We don't know what's happening inside. That is where probably simulation, animation could be a good, interesting medium. So please understand, believability is very important because we are talking about education here. We are not talking about entertainment media here. So please choose your content medium wisely and appropriately.
All right.
And sometimes chalkboard is a better technology to teach a particular kind of content because expensive technologies are not required to explain that. You very rightly mentioned the example of video for the litmus test. And better than that, if resources are there in the classroom, hands-on is the best option for that. If it is not there, then video is the best option. So that is how we need to select the medium through which we are going to impart a particular concept. Thank you.
The conversation is really bringing up the very essential aspect of when to use which media and how to really choose the multimedia. That is what we are going to continue listening in the coming days, like when we are going to learn about various multimedia content and its uses and how to select, how to curate. So be connected with us. So I now hand it over to Tanvi for winding up for the day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, Indu ma'am, Angel ma'am, and Samir sir for being with us. It was a very informative, valuable, nice and interesting session, and these are not the comments by me, these are the compliments we have received from our viewers. So once again, thank you to our guests for being with us and letting us know that how important it is to choose the right multimedia resource. And like Indu ma'am said, the teachers are the best content creators, and they of course know that what resource to be to choose for
particular concept,
for particular project, for particular content. Thank you so much. So once again, let me tell you that you can register in this program, you can be a participant, you can chat with us, you can share your questions, and a few important things I would like to highlight is please register yourself, watch all the episodes of this entire online training. This is a 5-day training. Every day from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. we'll be here on NCRT Official, that is our YouTube channel, and a playlist link will be given to you. You can click on that and watch all the episodes. Towards the end of this online training on 26th of August, a quiz will be given to you, a quiz link will be given to you, and you can take part in that quiz, and if you score the particular percentage, then a certificate will be given to you. Let me show you the process once again on the web page of CIET. Here is, if you just click on this, one of the options is events. The third last option is workshop/training. Please click here. If you'll scroll it further, that's the first current activity, multimedia resources for teaching, learning and assessment. If you click here, this is all the information you will get regarding this online training. The objectives, who can participate, the entire program schedule has been mentioned here, and you can simply scan this QR code and be a participant, or you can click on this link and participate and register yourself. So here is all the information regarding this online training, and the opening date, the closing date of the link is also mentioned. The quiz link will be given here on 26th of August. So please watch all the episodes of this online training, and for now we are wrapping up the first day of this training, and that was on multimedia resources for education, concept, need and scope. Tomorrow we'll come back again, and day 2 will be discussed. And for now we are wrapping up. Stay here, don't go anywhere. We have one more program left for all of you, and that is our Sayog program. And the title of discussion would be Environmental Influence on Child Psychology. Thank you so much for watching this program, and thank you so much for registering yourself. Namaskar.